Am I supposed to be saying something?
I guess so. Today we're going to be taking a look at this game, giving you a review and our final thoughts on this interesting dice card game. Okay, so join us down at the table for a quick learn to play. It's not going to be an extensive learn to play, but it'll give you an idea if this is the type of game you'd like to purchase for yourself. Okay, so this is going to be a very broad overview about how Ashes is played. There are plenty of different minutiae of rules and how cards work that might contradict what I'm saying, but as is with any of these card games, the rules on the card are always much more prevalent than the rules in the rulebook. So, anyway, when you play Ashes, you're going to choose a Phoenixborn, and this is the first time I'm doing one of these, so if my finger points in many different directions, it's because I'm not used to it. So you're going to pick a Phoenixborn. Right here I've got Cole Rourquin as an example. Right in the middle of this you have his health, so his health is 15. And you'll notice that he also has two other stats. One is his battlefield and one is his spellboard. Now battlefield are the amount of units Cole can have out in front of him. And this is to attack other Phoenixborn, this is to defend against himself, and to do special abilities. His spellboard is kind of like a row behind his battlefield where he can conjure up certain spells or something called conjurations. And when you play Ashes, you'll notice the back of the decks have the White Phoenix and then the Black Phoenix. Black Phoenix is conjurations. For Cole, this is an Iron Rhino, and white is your deck. And the spellboard can bring forth your conjurations. It can manipulate the board as things go on, and that's pretty much how many spells he can have in that area behind him. He also has a special ability here. Now what's neat about Ashes is in your opening hand, you actually get to go through your deck and choose which of the 5 cards you're going to pick to start the game. So you could choose to do this, but they all have to be different. They can't be the same thing. You can have this one here, you can have that there, this as well, and you can have that. These are all different abilities and spells. Of course, it's a card game. Why wouldn't it be different abilities and spells? But the nice thing is you get to choose your opening hand, and I think that's pretty neat with the Ashes. But you're not here to talk about the cards, you want to see the dice. And Ashes is loads and loads of dice. And so on your turn, you're going to find which dice work well with the cards you have. For this one, you're going to look at the cost. So you'll notice that has a cost of a leaf. So you're going to want to have dice that have leaves on it. These blue ones here have leaves on them. So you're going to want to have at least some dice in your pool there. The general consensus is 5 out of 5. And so you're going to want to have that there. This card here called Strengthen try to get that in focus, has a knife. So we're going to want to get the dice that have the knife on them. Here, there's the black dice. So let's say we just take 5 and 5 to make it all even. So at the beginning of your turn, you're going to roll your dice, and then you're going to notice that they have all different symbols on them. Anything that has this circle, triangle, line through it is your basic dice. And then for the black and blue, ones we're using, for example, here, have the knife and the leaf. They're called the class level. That's your medium strength. And the highest strength, we didn't roll any, but for the blue, it's the frog. Come on, focus up for me. It doesn't want to focus. Ugh. I'm getting used to this, folks. The frog, and for the black dice, it's the goat. Now, how do you know which they are? Because there are plenty of cards in the game that show you the different levels of magic and the abilities that dice can do. And this one here, these are both for Cole. Now, after you roll your dice, you now have the opportunity to discard cards in your hand that may not work with what you rolled, and then you may draw cards. You're going to draw up to 5. Of course, if you have over 5 cards in your hand, you're not going to draw at all. If you have to go and draw cards, and you have none in your deck, you are going to take 1 damage per card you should have drawn, until you would have drawn 5 cards. And that's a way that decking can work in this game. Now, on your turn, you get to do up to 2 things, which you must do a main action, and they're all described here. Let's focus up. You're not going to do that for me? Oh, there we go. So you can pay a major cost, or sorry, a main action cost, that on a card with dice, and that's either to your spell board, out into the field. It could be an action spell, you name it. You could attack, and attacking works, so I'll describe that in a bit. Or you could pass. If ever both players pass simultaneously, the round ends. Then, after you're done with your main action, I should have kept that up there. After you're done with your main action, you may do a side action, which is pay that cost. You may activate a dice power, or you may meditate. Most Phoenixborn have a side action ability. Alright? Not most, all dice, this is the blue dice here, have a side action ability. There we go. So, that's what it called. We talk about activating a dice power. And then, of course, Cole here was paying a minor action. Sorry, I call it a minor action. It's a side action. I'm going to get it right someday, everybody. He also has spells that he can play that have the minor action cost on them. Meditating is discarding any card out of your hand and or spell board, and then turning a dice up 1 level. So instead of having this dice, you could discard a card to meditate and turn it to the dagger. If you had a dagger, you could turn it up to the goat. That's how meditating works. Once you pass, you are going to do a few things in the final phase. I'm trying to find a unit here that has this. Here is the Anchor Knot. He has some interesting stats. He has an attack value of 0, but he has an ability. His life of 1 and recover 1. If he happens to have stat boosters, he would then have a larger life. Then he would recover 1 at the end of the round. Recover means you're going to take wounds off of units that are already that are wounded by the amount here. So if he had recovered 2, he would take 2 wounds off of himself, but he only has 1. So that's what happens in the recover portion of the phase. You may then remove exhaustion markers. Some cards cause you to use exhaustion markers. It's basically a token that says you've used that card. There are some abilities. I'm trying to get the token to show you. It looks like a little sleepy eye. There are some abilities that can have you put more of these exhaustion tokens on it, but you're going to remove 1 exhaustion token on each card that has 1. And then you may exhaust dice. So let's say you didn't use all your dice here. Let's say you still had this guy left, and you may choose to exhaust as many of them as you want, because you'll re-roll them at the beginning of the next phase. So you can choose, I want to keep that because I'm barely rolling any, and that's the only one I've rolled so far. So you can choose to exhaust those dice. At the beginning of the round, you'll roll them again, and you'll add all of those to your dice pool. You'll change first player. You keep going into somebody's Phoenixborn is dead. And that's basically how the flow of the game works. Now let me talk to you about how attacking works. All right, so I'm going to give you a very basic idea of attacking here. And I'm going to be using some help here, so make sure I get it right. So on the bottom we have Cole Roarquin with his Iron Rhino, and on top we have Aradel Summerguard, and she has all her, not all of them, but a number of her Mist Spirits out. So if, first off, Phoenixborn cannot attack Phoenixborn cannot attack units. All they can do is block. So we're going to start with what happens if you target a Phoenixborn. Let's say Cole said, I'm going to use my Iron Rhino to attack Aradel Summerguard. Okay, so the Iron Rhino, you may not be able to see it because I'm trying to show the whole table here, has an attack of 7. So, you say, I'm using this to attack the Phoenixborn. You may use 1 unexhausted unit to block the Iron Rhino. 1 per. So let's say if I attack with 3 cards, then 3 of these could block to protect her. So let's say 1 Mist Spirit blocks Iron Rhino. Iron Rhino is attacking for 7. This Mist Spirit only has a life for 1. So 6 would still, first off, it's blocked. If this were to, this could also counter for 1, and then the Iron Rhino will have a life of 3. But still, this is now gone, and the rest of the attack gets through, so 6 damage would go on Aerodel's Summer Guard. That's pretty much how you attack a Phoenixborn. Now, if you're attacking a unit, we'll go back here. Let's say Cole Rourquin says, I'm using my Iron Rhino to attack a Mist Spirit. It's a 1-for-1 thing. You cannot just saying, I'm using my 7 attack to get rid of all those. That's not how this works. It's a 1-for-1 thing. Now, if any of these units has an ability called Unit Guard, they may guard against the Iron Rhino. Or you can choose to use your Phoenixborn to guard against the attack, and they'll take all the damage, but they can only do that once per round. And then after that, you'll resolve the battle, and that'll be it. So attacking, it's very similarly easy to other games I've played. It might seem a little daunting at first, but I love the way that if you look at the back of the... zoom out here. This is the back of the rulebook, and it pretty much has a very good overlay on how attacking works. That's basically how attacking works. Once again, the game will end as soon as a Phoenixborn is completely dead, and that's pretty much how you play Ashes.
So if we haven't mentioned before, we owned the original OG Ashes, I guess we're going to call it.
Okay.
From 2015. It was something we had purchased almost right away, I think, right?
We had seen it going around at Gen Con, and we didn't have any more time in the day.
Or money, probably.
That too. To go back and get it. I had run to the Plaid Hat booth to get Dead of Winter, not even known about Ashes. But I began seeing this box cover with this dynamic artwork, and knew that once it finally came out to retail, we had to get it.
Yeah, so in terms of the box cover, I don't think there's a super lot that's very different. I mean, well, yeah, the box cover's different, I think, right?
It's a reddish, a black and red cover.
Yes.
Compared to the white.
So we had all of the things for the original Ashes, including all of the promos, and all of the characters. I'm not sure that we had played all of the characters.
We played all the characters.
We did.
At least once.
Okay. We kind of went through phases where we played Ashes a lot, and then we didn't play Ashes, and we played it a lot, and then we didn't. I've mentioned before that we had done playtesting for, was it Koji?
Koji.
The wolf character. And when you've done playtesting on a character, wow, it's a lot. And then you're done with something for a while, because you've played it like 25 times.
And then the character comes out for the game, and you don't even want to buy the pack because you've playtested it already.
Yeah, you're tired out. So we love Ashes, and I was concerned when they announced this new one. I was like, oh great, this is gonna be like Game
of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, so LCG.
We were whole hog into Game of Thrones LCG, and then they announced second edition that you couldn't use the old cards. I was like, oh.
I know. That was, yeah. I'm still miffed about that.
But this one's going to have an upgrade pack, which gives you all the changed cards for everything. And from what I understand, they're planning on releasing a new Phoenixborn every 3 months.
I would say definitely tentative about this. And when this came in last week, and then Matt did a comparison of what had changed, it was mostly just cards. And the decks themselves, some decks had not significant changes, but 6 cards that were changed, and then others had maybe like 2.
I found that a lot of decks that were changed were decks that had a hard time working, and they were kind of brought up onto a much more quick style gameplay. A lot of the changes are usually a cost change, either a major action or a side action change, a type of spell change here or there, and then on certain decks, I remember I think it was Soraya Guideman. Almost every card, not all of them, had a lot of text to them, and a lot of text has been shrunken down. Also, something that's disappeared, from what I see, is Respark. Respark was an ability in the first edition that if you put that on a unit and that unit was destroyed, you could pay the cost to move that ability that was attached to it, because the respark was on the ability attached, the attachment. You can move that to another person. That is pretty much gone.
I don't think we ever used that, though, did we?
No. I think maybe once in our 30, 35 games of Ashes.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the playtesting.
Not including the playtesting. If you're watching this and you've never played Ashes before, someone's already asked me on Instagram, should I just go right into Reborn? Well, yes, yeah. I would say yes. And someone had asked me, maybe on Facebook, what a good 2-player starting setup was. And I think out of the base box, I would pick...
probably Aerodel Summerguard and Cole Rourquin.
Yep. Because in the games that we've played from this new box, their win ratio is among the highest. So that still is a problem of sorts, I think, with some of the Phoenixborn. Some of the Phoenixborn are still better than others. There's some that are better than others.
So I will say that Jen and I don't deck build.
No.
So we play with the prescribed decks that come in the box. So if you're a fan of deck building, understand that we did not deck build out of this because that's just not something we do a lot of. I think it's why I like Keyforge so much. And so on the pre-built decks, there are some Phoenixborn that just don't really flow well.
No.
And those are the Phoenixborn that I think are meant to be deck built. And so... I think who was it? Mayoni Viper. Mayoni Viper has no allies in her deck, and the Silver Snake and the Gliders really have to be beefed up a lot. So you're pretty much open, especially if you're playing against Aerodel Summerguard, who just has those water mists being thrown at you each round.
Yeah.
You do need to deck build with someone like Mayoni Viper.
Saria Guideman is the same. Her win ratio was very low.
However, if with Soraya, you could definitely kill a deck, which is also something in Ashes. Because we were playing Soraya Guideman versus Aerodel Summerguard, and you were Aerodel Summerguard, and the only thing I really had against you was to continue taking cards out of your deck, because it's when you can't draw, you have to take damage.
Yeah, you almost had me. I think I had 3 or 4 cards left. And then Jessa
Nani.
Nani is another one that we've never gotten going.
And that's someone I think you need to deck build.
Yeah, so out of the base box, half of them
are good for their prescribed decks.
Yes.
And then we were also sent the 2 deluxe expansions. We got the Namine Hintide, which is the one that uses a lot of music. And then there was Odette Diamond Crest, who is one with a lot of the heavenly magic. Out of the box with the prescribed deck, Odette Diamond Crest is a beast.
She also has lions in her deck.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
she is
that
just
right there.
a beast. Namine Hintide is good if you can really get all the gears moving in the right way. But she's got some really cool stuff, especially if you're a musician. You'll love using Namine Hintide.
Yeah, yes. So, if you're someone who likes to deck build, this would be a good opportunity for you. And there is an example, I think, in the base rulebook about what you can do to switch it up for your decks. You're maybe more likely to do that out of the 2 of us.
I tried once and I just was not good at it.
I don't know. In terms of artwork, not much has changed.
There is, I think, 1 card in the box that was changed artwork-wise, and I mentioned that in my comparison video. It's out of Soraya Guideman's deck. It's the Enchanted Violinist. Now, I do not know if in later editions of the original, that artwork was changed. We have the first edition of Ashes, the first printing cycle of it, where the Enchanted Violinist is a different piece of art. So I don't know if that's a change to this, or if that was a change down the road from the original. Some of the artwork is also zoomed in, and some of the sides have been cropped out. But overall, the artwork remains the same. It's still amazing artwork. This game pops as far as the art goes.
Yeah, big fan of Fernanda Suarez's work here. It's just... It's so dynamic, so beautiful, so colorful. I don't know if she's the colorist as well. I'm assuming so. So in terms of the rulebook, you were the one who looked at the rulebook. It's a smaller rulebook.
Definitely a bit easier to move through. So the rulebook and Ashes Original, I think we had played maybe 4 or 5 times before we really understood what the rulebook was trying to tell us. This one, and I'm going to be doing this with the other video where we talk to people who haven't played Ashes. My plan is to give the rulebook to somebody who has never played the game. And see how it compares. The examples on the back of the rulebook for how combat works is so much nicer than in the original rulebook. The original rulebook, I was always having some confusion with how combat worked. One thing I believe, and I checked before we started this video, is meditation has changed a little bit. The meditation in the original, you would discard a card and put the dice to any side you want. Now meditation is you discard a card to up the magic level. Yeah, you just up it 1 level. So that's a change there. And like I said, I think Respark is gone completely, at least in this set and the 2 deluxe that were sent to us. Thank you, Plaid Hat, by the way, for sending that to us. And yeah, everything is solid. This is I always called it one of the games no one talks about that they should be.
Right. Yeah, we've said this for a long time. Other things that you could be looking for, if you're someone who is thinking about combining the boxes, or if you're someone who wants to have coal versus coal, you could certainly do that now. You'd have to get both this and then the upgrade pack for your original. But Matt had I say this because I know there's going to be someone out there who is going to...
Actually.
You've got to actually this. He combined the dice into one big bag, and there is a very distinct difference between the coloration
and the size.
Just a little the new dice versus the older dice.
But they're the same dice.
They are the same dice. The new dice are larger and they're more saturated in color. So the more deeper jewel tones, really, than the others. I'm not necessarily perturbed, although it must perturb me enough that when I reach into the bag to pull out 5 pink dice, I do pull out all 5 that are the same color. And then the card qualities...
The same dice.
They're the same dice. The card quality, we're probably going to sleeve this.
The card quality is still good.
Yes.
But it's compared to the original, it's a little thinner.
Yes.
But not to the point where it's like, oh my god, I have to sleeve this now.
Right. I think our issue with the original was that the cards were so stiff, you couldn't shuffle them great. Yep. And now these shuffle better. So, I don't know if that's necessarily a win or a loss for you in particular, if you're someone who that bothers. I don't know.
I tried to get a gray kitty to jump up here.
It still says 2 to 4 players. We've never thought that this was a 3 or 4 player game.
Always only ever played it at 2. There are rules for drafting in this set. I'm not sure if that's in the original. Never looked. Because we've always just popped open the boxes of the new decks and just played them.
Yeah. I suppose you could do team play, you could do whatever. I don't know. In head-to-head combat games like this, though, I feel like anything more than 2, one person is always going to be picked on. Mm-hmm. Which makes it very uneven, very unfair, and that person is going to get miffed.
And hate the game.
And
I've seen that happen with Dice Throne. Like people who just say, let's just do kind of an all-out brawl. They don't follow the rules in Dice Throne. They just start picking on somebody. Usually it's the Vampire Lord, because that one's not really clicking well. Anyway, that's just my little side note. That can happen, and it can actually cause somebody to not like the game. Yeah.
I'm really happy for Plaid Hat, though, and that Team Covenant was able to help them get this back going. I think if you were someone who had wanted to get into Ashes before, and maybe you were hesitant, this is the best version that you're going to get, I think.
Yeah. And it is a 1.5. It's not a 2.0.
Correct.
So there have been some changes. It's not a complete overhaul.
No. So I think when you get the upgrade kit, it'll be pretty seamless for you. I am looking forward to new characters. I mean, we do always love the new characters when they come out. And if they add more dice.
The newest deluxe will add red dice.
So I'll be looking forward to see what kind of magic that is.
Another thing that you've always been impressed with Ashes is its representation.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, for the pure fact that in the base box you have 4 ladies, and in overall in the universe itself, it's a very diverse universe. That they've paid huge attention to that, even within each character's deck. Huge diversity. And they're like real looking people too. Like there's like not skinny booby women on every single one. It's like normal looking people. And one of the Phoenixborn in general is, I mean, she's a very normal looking.
Oh, this one?
No, I think we've only played her once. She's one of the add-ons.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's huge. That's a huge thing for people. And I love it too. So that's very exciting that they're keeping that. And we have someone who's going to try to take the microphone away over here.
So, how do you rate this game, Jen?
Oh, well, Cheapskate over here with her out of 10 system.
I call it the impossimeter.
That's true. That is very true. 8.5?
Really?
Wow. Am I surprising you?
Yeah. This is probably my favorite card game. So this gets about a 9.
So not that far from me.
Yeah. As a side note, I joke, War of the Ring is our favorite game of all time. I say, what does War of the Ring get for you originally before you changed it? It was like an 8.25. And I was like, shouldn't it be a 10? That's your favorite game of all time.
It should be.
It should be.
It should be. Everything should be a 10 out of 10.
All right, so if you have any questions about Ashes, let me know in the comments below. I will do my best to answer them. If you have any questions about whether or not you should, what you should get in the Ashes universe, also let me know. I do know that with the deluxe sets, you might be okay to just buy those instead of the base box, but you won't have any of the counters. I would definitely say this is a go out and buy. If you are on the fence, once gaming happens in public again, at least in Connecticut, it's not really happening, then I would say give it a shot before you buy it. Find someone you know who really likes it, and just try out a few decks and see if you like. I love the fact that your mana is dice and you're not beholden to finding the cards in your deck that are mana. But anyway. That's all we have to say about Ashes. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Bye!